Alright, today, so what we'll be talking about is Rolle's theorem and the median, or the mean value theorem. I always want to see median for some reason. Okay, but basically Rolle's theorem is this. Rolle's theorem is that if you have a function and you have two different points and you plug it in the function, you get the same answer, that somewhere in that function in between those 2 points you're going to get a derivative that is 0. So in other words, what we're dealing with is something like this. So if we have something like this right here, okay, and let's call this A, B, and C those points. Okay, so if f of A is equal to f of B, which they are because they're going to be 0, and that's going to be equal to f of C, okay, then somewhere between A and B there's a 0, or there's a place where if I find a derivative of that line, I will find that it has a slope. Let me bring it right there. Let's bring it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's where the derivative is going to be equal to 0. Okay, and then same thing down here. To make it as straight as possible. Voila. Okay, so basically the same. Oh, come on. There we go. So that's basically what that's saying, is that there's going to be something that looks like this derivative, and then somewhere between B and C there's going to be something that looks like this derivative. Okay. And that's just saying the value as you work through this, just the Rolle's theorem, that just you're looking at these points, okay? You're just looking at 2 points that do not pass the horizontal line test. That means somewhere in between that you're going to have this point where if you find the derivative, you're going to find the derivative to be 0, okay? All right, now the mean value theorem, and this is kind of cool in how it works. Mean value theorem is this, okay, and I like to use the best one, maybe an exponential. Okay, something like that. Alright, so the mean value theorem, let's say that we pick a couple of points. Let's say we pick A, comma, f of A. Oops. Let's put a parentheses back in front of that bad boy. Okay, so let's pick a point there, and then let's pick a point up here, B, comma, f of B. Okay, and then we find a slope between those 2 points. Okay, so we find the slope between those 2 points. Somewhere along here, along this part, we will find a point that has the same derivative slope as the one we just worked with. Okay, let me move it. There we go. And then we'll move it up a little bit. There we go. And so in other words, there's some point in here, C, so f prime of C is going to be equal to the slope between A and B. And so in other words, what it's basically saying, and this is in human terms, the mean value theorem says that if I travel from here to San Francisco and I start here at 0 miles per hour and I end at San Francisco at 30, I'm sorry, not 30, at 50 miles per hour. Obviously I'm not driving on the streets like that, but let's say I get within the city limits and stuff. Somewhere along the line I had to cross 30 miles an hour. Okay, somewhere along the line I had to cross 50 miles an hour. You know, there's a whole lot of different stuff that goes on with that. But it just basically is saying that it's just proving that if I do the slope here I'm going to find a derivative slope that is also going to be the same kind of function, okay? Alright, and that's it for Rolle's theorem and the mean value theorem. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, bye.